Listen carefully. Strong women don't beg, they don't wait, and they sure as hell don't look back. Every time someone disrespects your value, every time they drain your energy, walking away isn't just an option. It's a power move. You don't need permission to leave. You don't need closure from them. You don't need validation from anyone. The moment you step out, you step into freedom, growth, and control of your life. And if you're ready to stop settling, stop apologizing, and start building your empire, stay right here, because I'm about to show you exactly how strong women take what's theirs. Unapologetically, a strong woman knows her worth before anyone else tries to define it. She doesn't wait for approval or validation from people who barely understand her journey. She understands that her value is not negotiable, and no amount of criticism or dismissal can change that. Every decision she makes is filtered through the lens of self-respect and clarity. She is aware that chasing validation is a trap, one that slowly erodes confidence and energy. Instead, she cultivates an internal measure of worth that cannot be shaken by external circumstances. Her self-perception is rooted in her actions, her integrity, and her ability to overcome obstacles. She recognizes that when someone tries to belittle her or manipulate her perception of herself, it's a reflection of their limitations, not hers. Confidence, she knows, is not about being loud or flashy. True confidence is calm, consistent, and rooted in knowing exactly who you are. She does not beg for attention or affection, nor does she waste time on people who don't value her presence. When someone dismisses her contributions, ideas, or emotions, she observes and decides without hesitation. Walking away becomes a deliberate act of strength, not a reaction born from emotion. Each step away from what diminishes her energy reinforces her belief in her own significance. She understands that her time and energy are limited resources, and that giving them to the wrong people is a betrayal of herself. She doesn't make excuses for others' behavior, nor does she rationalize toxicity to keep peace. Maintaining peace at the cost of self-respect is not an option. She chooses her battles and aligns with situations that amplify her potential. Each decision to leave, step back, or disengage is a calculated move that strengthens her resolve. A strong woman sees the patterns of her life and recognizes where she has been compromised. She reflects on past mistakes, not with shame, but with clarity, extracting lessons that sharpen her instincts. She understands that empowerment is born from experience, not luck. Each encounter that tested her boundaries taught her what she would no longer tolerate. She does not fear loneliness because she values solitude as a space for growth and self-discovery. Solitude is her laboratory for developing resilience, refining priorities, and nurturing her vision. She knows that true connection comes from mutual respect, not desperation. By standing firm in her worth, she attracts people who meet her on the same level. She understands that relationships, whether personal or professional, are partnerships, not chains. Walking away is simply enforcing the principle that she will not compromise on respect or integrity. Her awareness of her own worth allows her to navigate challenges with poise. She encounters betrayal, manipulation, and disappointment with a steady mind. She doesn't collapse under the weight of others' expectations or judgments. Instead, she uses those moments to reinforce her standards and clarify her boundaries. The strength she exhibits is not performative. It's an internal force that others can feel, even if they cannot articulate it. People who have never known such conviction may misinterpret her detachment as coldness, but she knows it is protection. Every interaction is filtered through her understanding of value, energy, and long-term impact. She avoids the trap of trying to explain herself to people unwilling to understand. Her choices are intentional, her actions precise, and her focus unwavering. Walking away is not weakness, it is a deliberate expression of power. She understands that energy is her most precious currency. Every conversation, every obligation, and every interaction has a cost. She invests her energy selectively, knowing that those who do not appreciate it are not worth the expenditure. This awareness allows her to prioritize growth over appeasement. She recognizes that people who drain energy often do so unconsciously, and it is not her responsibility to accommodate them at the expense of herself. By consciously choosing where to place her focus, she maximizes her potential in every aspect of life. She does not waste time on guilt, manipulation, or forced loyalty. Each decision to step away is an act of preservation and advancement. She does not seek revenge or validation. She simply honors her own standards. In this way, her worth becomes both a shield and a magnet. A strong woman also understands the importance of boundaries. She knows that limits are not barriers to love or connection, but necessary structures to protect her energy. She establishes these boundaries clearly and communicates them without fear of rejection or conflict. By doing so, she ensures that only people capable of respecting her limits remain in her sphere. Those unwilling to honor these boundaries are filtered out naturally, leaving space for genuine, aligned relationships. This discipline is not always easy, but it is essential. She practices patience and discernment, understanding that alignment matters more than quantity. Every interaction is a reflection of her standards, and she refuses to lower them for comfort or convenience. Boundaries are her blueprint for self-respect, guiding her choices in relationships, career, and life. Walking away becomes a seamless outcome of consistently applying these principles. Her strength is also visible in her decision-making. She does not act out of fear, obligation, or guilt. Instead, she makes choices grounded in clarity and principle. She understands that hesitation often comes from uncertainty about self-worth, and she eliminates doubt by continually affirming her value. When faced with a situation that diminishes her energy or compromises her integrity, she evaluates it dispassionately. She weighs the long-term consequences and chooses the path that sustains her growth. This disciplined approach cultivates resilience, allowing her to withstand criticism, rejection, or opposition without internalizing it. Her decisiveness becomes a hallmark of her presence, signaling to others that she operates from a place of confidence. Walking away is simply an extension of this decisive mindset, a demonstration that she will not be derailed from her path. She also understands the difference between attachment and investment. She invests fully in people, projects, and opportunities aligned with her vision. She does not cling to what is unworthy, toxic, or misaligned, recognizing that attachment to the wrong things leads to stagnation. Every detachment is an act of prioritization, a conscious choice to redirect energy where it yields results. She evaluates relationships based on reciprocity, respect, and shared growth rather than obligation or sentimentality. In doing so, she fosters environments where mutual respect and empowerment thrive. She avoids emotional entanglements that compromise her clarity and vision. Walking away is not a loss. It is a reclamation of focus and self-determination. Each departure is strategic, reinforcing her trajectory rather than derailing it. A strong woman also understands the impact of her presence. She recognizes that her energy, confidence, and clarity affect those around her profoundly. She does not diminish herself to make others comfortable, nor does she tolerate attempts to undermine her influence. She navigates relationships with awareness, ensuring her presence elevates, inspires, and strengthens her sphere. When she walks away, it is not out of malice, but because she recognizes her value and refuses to dilute it. Her absence communicates the same message her presence does, that she is a person of worth, principle, and purpose. Others notice this, and it naturally filters out those unable to meet her standards. Every decision, including walking away, reinforces the narrative of strength, self-respect, and clarity. She continually cultivates self-awareness as a tool for empowerment. By understanding her motivations, triggers, and desires, she strengthens her ability to navigate life decisively. Reflection allows her to identify patterns, learn from experiences, and avoid repeating mistakes. She sees every challenge as a lesson, every setback as feedback, and every success as confirmation of her approach. Her self-awareness fuels her resilience, enabling her to respond rather than react, to act from principle rather than emotion. Walking away becomes a natural extension of this self-knowledge, a deliberate choice informed by clarity, integrity, and vision. In this way, her life is guided by understanding, purpose, and unwavering self-respect. Finally, a strong woman understands that her life is her responsibility. She owns her decisions, her energy, and her path. She does not blame others for circumstances that no longer serve her, nor does she remain trapped in relationships, roles, or environments that diminish her potential. Walking away is a reflection of this ownership, a declaration that she controls her journey. She recognizes that every step is a choice, and every choice carries power. By valuing herself above approval, she sets a standard for how she is treated. Her worth is non-negotiable, her presence commanding, and her decisions unwavering. In every instance of walking away, she reinforces the truth that she is enough, that she deserves respect, and that her life is hers to design. Saying no is one of the most radical acts a strong woman can commit to herself. It is not about being rude, dismissive, or selfish. It is about asserting control over her life, her energy, and her priorities. Every time she says yes to something that doesn't align with her vision, she is unconsciously saying no to her own growth. She knows that energy is finite, and giving it to the wrong people or tasks is a silent form of self-betrayal. Boundaries are not optional. They are necessary structures that protect her from depletion and distraction. She refuses to dilute her focus to make others comfortable or to meet expectations that do not serve her purpose. Every no she utters is a declaration of self-respect, a shield that guards her vision and her dreams. She understands that discomfort is temporary, but the cost of misaligned energy is long, lasting. Saying no is not just an action, it is a principle that governs the way she navigates life. A strong woman does not apologize for protecting her space or asserting her limits. She understands that guilt is often a social tool designed to manipulate compliance. When she says no, she does so without hesitation, explanation, or defensiveness. She knows that any attempt to justify herself only diminishes the power of her decision. People who respect her boundaries will accept her choices without argument, and those who don't are not meant to be in her life. This clarity allows her to operate without compromise, without second guessing, and without regret. Each no reinforces her sense of identity and independence, building a life structured around her values. She does not let emotional manipulation dictate her actions or weaken her resolve. Every refusal becomes a lesson in self-mastery, a reminder that her autonomy is non-negotiable. In this way, she transforms a simple word into a strategic tool of empowerment. Saying no also requires courage. It is easier to say yes because it avoids conflict, appeases others, or maintains temporary comfort. But every yes that compromises her priorities is a debt to herself that will demand repayment later. She recognizes that discomfort is a necessary companion to growth and that asserting her boundaries often triggers resistance. Strong women embrace that resistance because it signals that they are standing for something important. They do not shrink in the face of opposition. They remain unwavering in the clarity of their intentions. Each act of saying no becomes a declaration of personal sovereignty, reinforcing the understanding that her life is hers to design. The courage to refuse mediocrity, manipulation, or misalignment is what separates those who grow from those who stagnate. Saying no is a skill, a habit, and a practice that strengthens with repetition and intentionality. Boundaries are a central component of the power of no. A strong woman knows where she begins and ends, and she communicates that clearly in every interaction. She does not tolerate energy drains, disrespect, or behavior that contradicts her values. By defining limits, she creates a life framework that aligns with her purpose, ambitions, and happiness. Boundaries are not rigid walls meant to isolate, but structures that ensure quality in the people, projects, and commitments she engages with. This clarity allows her to invest deeply in what matters, rather than dispersing energy on meaningless obligations. She observes interactions and patterns, recognizing early signs of misalignment, and enforces her limits without hesitation. By consistently applying these boundaries, she cultivates a life of focus, growth, and respect. Walking away from obligations or relationships that violate these limits is a natural consequence of disciplined boundary setting. A strong woman also understands the value of her attention. Every conversation, meeting, or engagement carries a cost in energy, time, and mental bandwidth. Saying no is a conscious act of allocating attention where it is most impactful. She does not allow distractions that drain her creativity, productivity, or peace to compromise her trajectory. She evaluates every request against her priorities and responds accordingly, refusing to commit reflexively or out of fear. By protecting her attention, she maintains mental clarity and focus, which are essential for achieving her vision. She recognizes that every yes carries an implicit promise of energy investment, and she only extends that promise to causes or people aligned with her growth. The discipline of saying no transforms scattered energy into concentrated results. In doing so, she maximizes impact and minimizes wasted effort. The power of no is amplified when combined with vision. A strong woman always has a clear understanding of what she wants, who she wants to be, and where she is going. Every decision is filtered through this lens of clarity. Saying no becomes easier because it is no longer just about refusing others. It is about affirming herself and her goals. She is able to distinguish between opportunities that are distractions and those that accelerate her progress. This discernment allows her to navigate life with intention rather than reaction. She does not allow emotional pressure, guilt, or manipulation to pull her off course. Instead, she anchors her decisions in long-term vision, consistently prioritizing alignment over approval. The word no becomes her tool for shaping reality, ensuring that she is building a life on her own terms. Each refusal is a statement of alignment and a step toward freedom. Saying no also strengthens relationships and interactions. While it may feel counterintuitive, refusal clarifies intentions and expectations for everyone involved. People who respect her boundaries understand the seriousness of her standards, and those who do not are naturally filtered out. This process prevents resentment, burnout, and compromise in relationships. By enforcing her limits, she ensures that connections are based on mutual respect, honesty, and alignment. She is not controlling or rigid. She is deliberate and strategic. Her ability to say no communicates self-respect, which in turn invites others to elevate their behavior. Over time, this clarity fosters relationships and collaborations that are stronger, more balanced, and more rewarding. Saying no is an act of integrity, ensuring that energy is spent in mutually beneficial spaces. A strong woman also understands the long-term consequences of ignoring the power of no. Repeatedly compromising, agreeing, or overextending leads to exhaustion, frustration, and stagnation. She observes the cumulative impact of misaligned energy and makes conscious decisions to prevent it. Saying no is a preventative measure, an investment in sustainability and growth. She knows that her success, well-being, and influence are directly tied to her ability to protect herself from unnecessary drains. By refusing to acquiesce to every demand, she creates space for opportunities that actually matter. She does not fear missing out. She fears wasting her life on irrelevant pursuits. Each no is a protective mechanism, ensuring that her energy is consistently channeled toward outcomes of significance. Confidence is both a prerequisite and a result of embracing no. A strong woman does not seek approval because she has internalized self-worth. Her refusals are not defensive, they are expressions of clarity and autonomy. She recognizes that people may react with frustration, misunderstanding, or even hostility, but she remains unshaken. Her confidence is rooted in understanding that her life, time, and energy are non-negotiable resources. Every refusal reinforces her sense of control, her standards, and her vision. Confidence allows her to communicate no with calm authority, without anxiety or over-explanation. In practicing this consistently, she strengthens her ability to navigate challenges, enforce boundaries, and focus relentlessly. Saying no becomes both a shield and a signal of personal power. Finally, a strong woman sees no as liberation. It frees her from obligations, expectations, and dynamics that do not serve her growth. It allows her to prioritize herself, her vision, and her energy without guilt or apology. Every refusal is a reclamation of autonomy, a conscious act of empowerment. By embracing no, she cultivates clarity, focus, and direction. She is not defined by the demands of others, but by the deliberate choices she makes in alignment with her principles. Saying no becomes an art form, a skill that sharpens with practice, and a strategy for building a life on her own terms. She learns that liberation is not granted. It is claimed, one decision at a time. Each assertion of refusal strengthens her presence, power, and purpose, creating a life that is unapologetically hers. A strong woman understands that closure is an internal process, not something she waits for from others. She does not rely on explanations, apologies, or recognition to validate her decisions. Walking away is not a reaction. It is a deliberate choice grounded in clarity and self-respect. She knows that holding on to people, situations, or emotions that no longer serve her is a silent form of self-sabotage. Letting go is not about weakness. It is about prioritizing energy, focus, and growth. Every attachment has a cost, and she evaluates whether the investment is worth the emotional price. She is not afraid of discomfort because she understands that pain is temporary, but regret is lasting. By trusting herself and her intuition, she navigates transitions with confidence. She recognizes that true freedom is only possible when she releases what she cannot control. She does not linger in the past, nor does she obsess over what-ifs. Strong women recognize that overthinking leads to stagnation and emotional drain. Her mind is trained to assess, decide, and act in alignment with her values. When someone or something no longer contributes to her growth, she steps away without hesitation. She does not rationalize toxicity, manipulate hope, or wait for change that may never come. Each act of release is intentional and strategic, ensuring that her focus remains on possibilities that align with her vision. She understands that acceptance is a skill that requires courage, clarity, and self-trust. Walking away is not a loss, it is a recalibration. She values forward momentum over closure obtained from another's acknowledgement. By letting go without regret, she claims her life and power unapologetically. A strong woman knows that attachment is a choice, not a requirement. She evaluates relationships and circumstances through the lens of alignment, not sentiment. Emotional ties are not sacred if they compromise her integrity, vision, or peace. Letting go is an exercise in discernment, requiring honesty with herself about what is and isn't serving her. She avoids the trap of clinging to hope, nostalgia, or obligation. Every release is an act of clarity, an acknowledgement that her energy is too valuable to invest in misalignment. She recognizes the difference between love and codependency, loyalty and exploitation. By stepping away, she demonstrates respect for her own boundaries and aspirations. Each decision to detach is a statement that she values herself above approval or attachment. Walking away becomes an intentional act of liberation, not a reactive measure born of frustration. She also understands that letting go requires courage in the face of uncertainty. Fear of the unknown is natural, but it cannot dictate her decisions. A strong woman weighs the cost of staying versus the benefit of release. She evaluates whether holding on maintains stagnation, stress, or compromise. Each choice to step away is deliberate, informed by past experiences and self-awareness. She understands that discomfort is temporary, but clarity is lasting. Fear may whisper, but her self-respect and vision shout louder. By practicing the art of release, she builds resilience and mental fortitude. She does not require the reassurance of others to act decisively. Walking away without looking back is an act of both courage and strategic self-preservation. Letting go also requires discipline and mental clarity. Strong women are deliberate in how they process emotions and experiences. They do not indulge in overanalysis or second-guessing. She recognizes that lingering in regret or resentment only drains her energy and clouds judgment. Instead, she focuses on lessons, growth, and self-development. Every ending is an opportunity for recalibration and redirection. She structures her thoughts to reinforce self-trust, independence, and empowerment. Emotional maturity allows her to detach without bitterness or lingering attachment. She knows that clarity comes from distance, perspective, and decisiveness. Walking away becomes a natural extension of a disciplined and empowered mindset, not an impulsive act. A strong woman also understands the impact of patience in the process of letting go. She does not force closure, nor does she wait passively for it. She allows time to reveal clarity, patterns, and priorities. Detachment is not instant. It is cultivated through reflection, self-trust, and observation. She uses this time to assess alignment, evaluate contributions, and recognize when the cost of holding on outweighs the benefits. She does not rush the process, but she also does not procrastinate in making decisions. Her actions are timed for maximum impact, ensuring her energy is preserved and focused. By practicing patience, she avoids impulsive decisions that compromise her integrity. Walking away becomes a conscious and deliberate choice, supported by reflection and timing. She approaches detachment with self-compassion. A strong woman does not blame herself for what no longer works or for situations that failed to evolve. She understands that outcomes are often beyond her control, and acceptance is not resignation. Self-compassion allows her to release guilt, shame, and self-judgment. She affirms that choosing herself is not selfish. It is essential. She knows that letting go is a form of respect for her own journey and for the life she wants to build. By practicing compassion, she softens the emotional blow of departure and strengthens resilience. Walking away becomes an act of grace and self-alignment, not punishment or regret. Each choice reinforces her understanding of self, worth, and her ability to honor her needs. A strong woman also evaluates the energy dynamics of every relationship and situation. She recognizes who contributes, drains, or distracts. Letting go is a strategic assessment, not a whim. She observes interactions and patterns, identifying what aligns with her vision and what undermines it. By releasing what no longer serves her, she creates mental, emotional, and physical space for growth. She does not allow attachment to dictate her trajectory or compromise her standards. Her decisions are intentional and deliberate, based on insight and clarity rather than fleeting emotion. Walking away becomes a conscious strategy for maintaining focus, resilience, and empowerment. Each release strengthens her capacity for meaningful connection with aligned individuals. The ability to let go without regret also comes from ownership of her choices. A strong woman understands that she is fully responsible for her life, her energy, and her outcomes. She does not blame others for circumstances that no longer serve her. She owns the decision to release and accepts the consequences without fear or hesitation. This ownership reinforces self-confidence, self-trust, and autonomy. By taking responsibility, she ensures that her actions are purposeful and aligned. Walking away is not a retreat, but a conscious, powerful step towards self-determination. Each choice becomes a reflection of agency and empowerment. She builds a life guided by intentionality, principle, and courage. Finally, she understands that letting go creates space for what truly matters. Every release is an opportunity to focus on growth, alignment, and meaningful connections. She does not linger on what is lost, but celebrates the freedom to pursue what is possible. By detaching from misalignment, she elevates her energy, her vision, and her capacity for impact. She understands that holding onto the wrong things only limits potential and productivity. Walking away becomes a method for investing in herself and the life she wants to create. She cultivates clarity, purpose, and self-respect through every intentional act of release. By letting go without regret, she builds resilience, autonomy, and empowerment, allowing her life to be guided by her highest priorities. A strong woman invests in her growth rather than in the approval of others. She understands that waiting for validation is a trap that delays her progress and limits her potential. Her energy is too valuable to be spent on opinions, judgments, or praise that do not serve her goals. She focuses relentlessly on building her skills, her mindset, and her life, knowing that true fulfillment comes from achievement, not applause. Every effort she makes is intentional, targeted, and aligned with her vision. People may criticize, misunderstand, or even envy her, but their opinions cannot dictate her path. She measures herself by results, resilience, and consistency, not by external recognition. Each step forward, each milestone achieved, reinforces her sense of empowerment. Her empire is built quietly, deliberately, and with unwavering focus. In investing in herself, she creates a life that approval could never provide. She does not wait for others to notice her brilliance because she has already acknowledged it. Confidence is cultivated internally, not bestowed externally. She knows her worth, understands her strengths, and does not seek permission to shine. By prioritizing action over acknowledgement, she accelerates her growth exponentially. Waiting for recognition often leads to stagnation, frustration, and compromise. Instead, she channels energy into creating value, solving problems, and expanding her influence. Each accomplishment becomes a testament to her capability, a building block in the empire she is creating. She understands that those who genuinely respect her will naturally recognize her contributions. She does not let the absence of external validation derail her progress. By focusing on mastery, execution, and impact, she ensures her empire is grounded in substance, not superficial approval. A strong woman understands that approval is fleeting, but results are permanent. Praise and acknowledgement are external and unpredictable, whereas her skills, knowledge, and accomplishments are tangible and enduring. She does not allow external pressure to influence her priorities or dictate her decisions. Every effort is directed toward outcomes that matter, not toward appearances or popularity. She measures success by the impact she creates and the legacy she builds. By consistently investing in herself, she strengthens her resilience, confidence, and influence. She understands that approval can never replace competence, discipline, or vision. Every step she takes toward mastery solidifies her power and autonomy. Focusing on results rather than recognition ensures that her efforts compound over time. This strategy empowers her to navigate life with clarity, determination, and purpose. She also recognizes that building her empire requires strategic risk-taking. Growth does not occur in comfort zones, and approval is often a lure that discourages bold action. She is willing to make decisions that may be unpopular or misunderstood if they align with her goals. Fear of judgment never outweighs the potential for progress. Every calculated risk she takes is an investment in her vision and long-term impact. She measures opportunities against alignment, potential, and value rather than consensus or popularity. By doing so, she consistently chooses action over validation, execution over approval, and growth over comfort. Her empire is constructed with intention, resilience, and courage. Risk becomes a tool, not a threat, and every challenge faced reinforces her strength and adaptability. She knows that the approval of others cannot substitute for the empowerment that comes from decisive action. A strong woman also cultivates independence in thought and decision-making. She does not let societal norms, peer pressure, or external expectations dictate her choices. Her vision is informed by strategy, experience, and self-awareness, not by what others deem acceptable. She evaluates opportunities, relationships, and decisions based on alignment with her principles and goals. By trusting her judgment, she minimizes reliance on validation or affirmation from outside sources. Each independent choice reinforces her authority over her life, her career, and her future. She recognizes that people who seek approval often dilute their power by overemphasizing perception. True influence comes from clarity, competence, and consistent action. By valuing independence over approval, she builds an empire that is sustainable, authentic, and powerful. Walking confidently in her truth ensures that she commands respect without seeking it. Her focus on building her empire extends to her network and environment. She surrounds herself with people who challenge, inspire, and elevate her, rather than those who demand her approval or diminish her energy. She recognizes that associations influence growth, mindset, and opportunity. By selectively investing in relationships that align with her values and vision, she accelerates her progress and multiplies her impact. Approval-driven interactions are avoided, as they offer temporary satisfaction without long-term value. Each connection she cultivates is purposeful, adding tangible or intangible value to her journey. She nurtures mentorship, collaboration, and influence strategically, ensuring alignment with her mission. The ecosystem she builds supports growth, innovation, and resilience. In doing so, she reinforces the principle that empires are constructed through contribution, not validation. This approach ensures her success is authentic and enduring. A strong woman understands that consistency is key to building her empire. Approval may be fickle, fluctuating, and fleeting, but disciplined effort compounds over time. She prioritizes daily execution, skill refinement, and strategic action over seeking recognition or praise. Each task completed, each skill mastered, and each milestone achieved reinforces her trajectory toward her goals. By focusing on what she can control, her effort, decisions, and commitment, she reduces reliance on external validation. Approval is an unreliable metric, but results are undeniable proof of capability. Her commitment to consistency ensures that progress is steady, measurable, and resilient to distraction. She knows that long-term success requires sustained action, not applause. Every deliberate effort strengthens her empire, reinforces her autonomy, and builds momentum for continued growth. She also embraces the mindset of contribution over recognition. A strong woman measures success by the value she creates, the problems she solves, and the influence she has on those around her. She does not perform for approval, she performs for impact. By prioritizing contribution, she naturally attracts recognition, influence, and opportunities. Her focus is on substance rather than perception, and results rather than popularity. She understands that approval seeking is a weak strategy because it is reactive and dependent on others. Contribution is proactive, intentional, and empowering. Every act of value reinforces her authority, influence, and trajectory. By concentrating on impact rather than approval, she creates a life of purpose, autonomy, and fulfillment. Her empire grows stronger with every meaningful action she takes. A strong woman also treats failure as a learning tool, not a reflection of worth. Approval is often tied to success or external validation, but she does not let judgment define her self-perception. Each setback is analyzed, lessons are extracted, and strategies are refined for the next iteration. She focuses on progress over perfection, resilience over praise, and execution over opinion. By separating self-worth from approval, she navigates challenges with confidence, clarity, and determination. Every failure becomes a stepping stone, strengthening her skills, strategy, and character. Approval may fluctuate, but her ability to adapt and grow remains consistent. This mindset ensures that her empire is built on competence, resilience, and strategy, not on external affirmation. Walking through challenges with focus and determination reinforces her power and autonomy. Finally, A strong woman concludes each day by reflecting on her progress, alignment, and impact. She evaluates whether her efforts contributed to her empire or were diverted by the pursuit of approval. She celebrates milestones, learns from setbacks, and plans her next steps with clarity. By maintaining this focus, she ensures that her growth is deliberate, measured, and strategic. Approval may come or go, but her empire is built to last, grounded in substance and intentionality. Each day is an investment in her autonomy, influence, and vision. She understands that her legacy will be defined not by applause, but by the results, impact, and systems she creates. Walking away from the need for validation allows her to operate from power, clarity, and authority. She builds her life unapologetically, creating an empire that reflects her ambition, principles, and resilience. By prioritizing her growth over approval, she ensures that her success is real, lasting, and undeniable.